I thought it was about time I introduced myself properly. I've done a few videos now and some questions have been popping up. I'm Stuart, I'm 35 from London and I've been living in Italy for 4 years. I was born in London, but my parents then moved outside of London when I was quite young. And so I've always had this kind of city and rural background. It's always been a bit of the two. I moved back to London and in 2013 with my wife moved to Paris. And then we arrived here in 2018. So yeah, been 4 years in Italy now. And we've had this property for just under a year. It feels kind of longer in a way, but yeah, it's just coming up to a year. So we've almost seen the full rotation of all seasons. Hot summers, quite cool winters, really beautiful start of spring, beautiful autumn. It's been my favourite time here, is autumn's been great. Why do we live in Italy? It's really my wife. She works in textiles and Italy is where this all happens in Europe. I work from home, I'm self-employed. I work as a sound designer for media. But I can kind of do it anywhere and over the years I've been able to build that up so that I can do it at home and do it from anywhere. And so I worked that way in Paris and then we moved here when a new job came up. And Italy's been wonderful. We've really settled in quite well, and since our daughter's been here as well, it's been lovely. People are really welcoming to children and to young families, so that's been great. We were worried coming to a rural area that we might just be the weirdos of the little village, but people are just wonderful. People have really stopped to talk to us. When people are hiking past the gate, they pop in and say hello. We know several people in the village now, so that's been great, even though we're not here kind of full time because we still have to go to the city and work. They're still really welcoming. We've had lots and lots of help. And so that's why we chose Italy and why we chose here, really, in the long run. I mean, it was first for work and then because we love it. It's just great. Where are we in Italy? We're in northern Italy. We're between Milan and Turin. There's a range of hills. I'm not going to be too specific. There's a range of hills there, the kind of Ligurian pre-Alps, and we're in one of the little villages that you find there. It's largely undiscovered in that it's not a very big tourist destination. There's a bit of wine tourism that happens here. People that really enjoy wine do tours around the little villages and towns here and do lots of tasting and then ship back some crates of wine. One question that's come up a couple of times on the channel is, what did we pay for our property? Okay, it's a good question. So this property went up on the market for 240,000 euros. And at first we came to visit once, I think in October time, and we went away and we weren't sure. There was a lot of work to do. There was the abandoned house next door. There's some other funny issues with the place. There's a big pole here which is being rented by the local police because this is the highest property between two valleys. There's this big pole on the land and the police use that to be able to communicate across two valleys. So it's a really useful thing, but it's a really hard thing for us to get rid of. It's contracted. And we saw that pole and thought, oh, terrible, we can't live with that. It's not a mobile phone thing, it's just for police, ambulance, emergency services. But it's a bit of an eyesore, and so we were really hesitant. And we went away, and we viewed some other places in the area. We viewed a little 2-bed place, which was actually about the same price, but it was already renovated. And we came back again, and we did some hiking in the area, and we had lunch in the village. And so we popped in an offer of 170,000, kind of thinking, oh, it's the offer's a bit too low, but we'll see, we'll just see. And then the estate agent came back to us and said, if you put 10,000 higher, 180,000, I think the owner might be keen to go for that. And so we had another think for quite a long time, and then we went for it, 180,000, and the owner accepted. And there'd been probably a gap of about 6 months in between this happening, but we were thrilled, and it was really wonderful. We were then committed to doing this. After all of the taxes and the estate agent costs and everything else, it came to about 200,000. And so it's a lot of property for that amount of money. 200,000 when you compare to prices in Milan, you can't really buy anything for 200,000. We were lucky to get a 90% mortgage on the house. And so we put down £20,000 deposit and the rest is covered by the mortgage. And it works out as not so much each month actually. It's quite affordable for now. But as we think about the budget, it's quite difficult. We need to we definitely need to borrow more to be able to spend some money on renovating the place. We bought the house really not knowing that part of the plan, not knowing how much we would need to pay to make it work. A little bit blind in a way, but it's something that we're not in a rush to do. We can live here right now, and so we don't need to renovate it immediately. We can renovate it slowly over 10 years if we want to. There's no rush. But our budget will change, and there's different factors involved. There's also this great system going on in Italy, which is due to end at some point in the coming years, called the eco-bonus scheme. And the eco-bonus means that when you renovate properties like this that don't match up to modern energy efficiency, the government will actually match your investment or even put more money in than you've invested in order to get these kind of old properties back up to a modern living standard, because there's hundreds and thousands of properties like this in Italy which are kind of just being left to waste really, because you can't live in them comfortably when you compare it to a more modern build. But by putting in double glazing and proper insulation, you can get there. You have to invest the money here. And so the idea is to get these eco-bonus tax credits. You put the money in first in order to cover the cost of the build, of course, and then over 25 years or so, you can get the credits back as tax credits. How did we find our house? We use a website called Idealista. There's several of these websites that work quite well in Italy, Immobiliare and Idealista. Idealista for us was the simplest to use. We'd used it before to find our rental property in Milan. Why this region? Good question. It wasn't supposed to be this region really. We were supposed to be looking in the Alps, in the pre-Alps north of Milan, which is 40-minute to an hour drive from Milan itself. But the prices for what you got were really high compared to this region. And so we widened our search, we looked south, and then we found this area slowly. We were going around Asti, Barolo, Casale, looking around in these kind of mid-sized towns and then also doing a little tour of the villages. This property came up in Idealista and we kind of fell in love with the area really. It was just one of those things. We'd never learned or heard anything about this area at all, and yeah, suddenly we just found ourselves here and we found this property and that was it. Am I doing the renovation myself? No is the easy answer. I'm not a builder. My family are all builders, more or less. My dad is an architect and a surveyor, and so I take a lot of influence from his line of work. And other members of my family are in the building trade. My uncle is a builder, my other uncle's a landscape gardener. So I've really got lots of experience to put my ideas to, which is fantastic. That's really good. But this is quite a property for doing building work. It's quite it's 16th century. It's all old stone. It's really particular. I don't have much experience. I've got some decorating experience, but minimal really. So for doing the kind of heavy building work, no, we're going to get contractors in. Firstly, to do the flooring and to put the energy system in. We need to put a whole new energy system in for the white house here, and also for the house behind me. The little pellet boiler that we've got, it's not really sufficient even for the few rooms that are upstairs. And if we turn the rooms on the lower floor into habitable, we definitely need a more powerful system. It's not really getting the place completely warm. So energy system is where we'll start, and then putting in some insulation, modern windows, that kind of thing. We're going to get contractors to do all of that kind of work. And then when we come to think about decorating, that's where we might take over, is on those final decisions on putting on the final layers of work. We'd like to do a kind of gypsum plaster finish, something quite raw and textural, as it probably would have been originally. I think that was the finish in the White House, was just raw plaster, maybe some paint over the top of that, but very, very light, more kind of decorative. So I'd like to keep it those kind of simple textures, and the floors, those original kind of stone or cement tiling on the floors I really like. So what I've kind of thought is I'm going to do the land and not have... I've got some gardeners, but they just come in to help on really big jobs. And so I'll manage the land and do a lot of the work there myself, do the courtyard, do a lot of planting, and then the house, have the contractors at least for those kind of big heavy jobs, and then see what we can do with the decoration. This is a good question. When we renovate, will we be keeping with the kind of 70s, 80s style of the building behind me in the upper floor, or going back to something closer to the white building on my right? We're definitely going to go back to that original style. That's what we fell in love with about the property. The brick arched ceilings are beautiful, the kind of cement floors, that terracotta colour of flooring. Those are the things that we love, and that's what we want to put back in. Take back even the modern paint, that kind of... This building's been painted all white and it's just too cold. We want to bring the warmth back in of those original textures. So lots of bare plaster and stone floors. This kind of thing is why we bought the property, to bring it back to how it would have looked, but with some modern touches. We like having a modern kitchen, and so that will definitely be part of it. Modern bathroom for sure, but also with lots and lots of that lovely warm feeling of stone and of wood and terracotta. All of those things, that's what we want to keep and put back in, for sure, for sure. There's a couple of questions about the other house that backs onto our property, which is an abandoned house. Have we looked into buying that house? No, not yet. We've got so much going on with this house for now that I can't really imagine having even more house to deal with. So for now, we're just going to leave it be. It's something that I think we'd only really look at buying to stop some other people buying it. And I don't know really if that's going to happen. And it looks big and attractive as a property, but there's so many other properties around here. If somebody else did buy it, it would probably be like us as a passion project, and it wouldn't be so bad in a way, because there's plenty of land to share. They've got loads like we have, and so that would be okay. I mean, we wouldn't need to be on each other's toes all the time. It's huge. So I don't know, we're not sure. I think if it comes up in auction or something, maybe we'd have a look. But I tried to contact the owner. I think they live abroad, uncontactable, so I'm not sure what to do there really. For now, I think just leave it and see what happens. Hope that we would hear if it did go up to auction. Can we get inside the property? All the property doors are open. They've been forced open at some point. I think the place has been picked over by people over the years, probably for scrap metal and for anything else that could be interesting. Now there's a security camera out the front of our property which also covers the entrance to their property, and hopefully that stops that kind of thing going on. I don't really want people walking around there and going in and out. It's also quite dangerous. So that's a bit of a worry. You can go inside, you can just walk in. What I'd like to do is just kind of bolt all the doors closed and shut it all up so that people can't go in. That would be the better thing to do until we find out who owns it and what's going on. Just try and keep it all closed off.